everyone, and welcome to ZankCast. For this ZankCast, you're going to be interviewing a blader from across the world. The legendary blader from Brunei. Annihilating bladers left and right. We have SirSkudii86.
What is going on, guys? It's your boy, SirSkudii86. How's she ripping? Hope your launcher just ain't skipping. We're on the ZankCast, baby.
It's awesome to have you here. You are a legacy member of the Bay community. You've been here for like a long time, since like Burst at least.
Yeah, long time. I've been watching, I started off watching YouTubers like your boy Zankye, all these other guys. I would just religiously watch everyone's videos, and I've kind of been into Beyblade since the plastic generation, where I used to watch the show. And, you know, I was not that active during MFB, but when Beyblade Burst hit, I got some YouTube recommendations, and I was like, oh man, Beyblade's back. Let's get into it.
That's awesome. So just kind of like the viewers that are wondering a little bit about yourself, just give like an introduction.
All right, my name's Yehudi. I'm from Brunei. Well, I live in Brunei. I am Canadian, just like Zankye here. I've been in Brunei for about 10 years, and I've been a part of the Beyblade community here for about 3 or 4. They didn't really start until later, but we'll get into that.
So you already covered where you're from. And you already covered, wow, okay, you're going pretty good on this already. You already covered how you got into Beyblade. Oh my god, woo! Woo, there's going to be a speed run right now. Okay, well, I was going to say then, because you got mostly into the Burst stuff, where I remember you got a lot of stuff through there. So kind of, what piqued your interest about Beyblade? Kind of, what did you enjoy about it?
Oh, well, for me, Beyblade has always been this kind of thing that, like, it was popular back in the day, and I kind of, like, wanted to get into, like, creating Beyblades at some point. So, you know, everyone has that dream where they have a drawing somewhere and it's poorly drawn out, just like Vault, right? So it's always been like that. I got into YouTubing kind of because I just have this like loud, bombastic personality, and it seems to go well with YouTube. So some people were suggesting it, and I just started making videos, and I guess it caught some people's attention, or else I wouldn't be on your podcast, huh?
Fair enough, fair enough. I kind of want to cover some of the stuff because you kind of did start a little bit of the meme culture for a lot of jokes in the community. Like, I remember back in Chozetsu, there was like the joke where you would comment saying, Zankye, you have to lick the quest driver first so it sticks or whatever.
See, over the years, we've accumulated a lot of Beyblade lore. Licked quest. That goes way back. I mean, I did it. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Sorry, I need to recover.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say, I know you did kind of expand some of the other stuff that you enjoyed with the hobby. Like, I saw you did recently get into a lot more of the 3D printing stuff and even painting Beyblades.
Yeah, I actually have a couple examples on hand here. We've got here the first Bay I ever made, which is Saber Stride Cavalos. It's kind of like dual spin. And then I went on to do a bit different with Corsair Cavalos. This one I made about a year ago. And then people were just like, hey, paint some Beyblades for us. And because I'm into Warhammer and stuff like that, I've got all the paints, I've got the supplies, I know this and that about painting Beyblades. So people seem to really like it. And I started really picking up on different people's systems and the designs that some people do are really nice. So we're out here and we're doing it. Yeah, I joined a couple 3D printed Beyblade things, but the ones that really stuck around were like model bladers. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can find me there.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by the paintwork. Way better than mine, because I have a shaky hand whenever I do, and I do the Gundam marker.
Oh man!
So every time I'm coloring, it'll and then after, like, I have to fix the eyes or whatever. But
that's so true.
Yeah, no, actually, I think it was your work in particular that really inspired me, because I do want to actually get the hobby paint and try to do it a little bit more precise.
What can I say?
I can.
Very inspirational blader. I seem to always be inspiring people with ideas and concepts, and just being that kind of like energetic figure that people can get behind.
So you kind of talked about a bay that you created. So did you model it, or you made the design and someone modeled it?
The ones I showed you, like these ones, I made start to finish by myself. So you can't be a part of a 3D printed Beyblade community and just get other people to do all the work for you, right? It's not the way it should go down. I have had people design Beyblades for me, but I'm not like showing them off like it's my work, you know what I mean?
Right. No,
But when other people send me their stuff and I get to paint it, yeah. that's when I really get to shine.
Yeah, I'm very actually impressed. That's really cool to see that you're putting some fun into the hobby to kind of create your own stuff and kind of just enjoy it. Wait, more talented than me. I can't even. I look at Blender and I say no, not today. I'm too afraid of 3D modeling. I don't have the patience to go through it. But no, shout out to the model blading community. A lot of talented folk there that do a great job.
That's true. I mean, even if all you got is Tinkercad, you can bash something together, and I've seen people do great work on that too. Okay.
So obviously you're in Brunei, so kind of want to ask, kind of like, how is Beyblade in Brunei? Do you get anything HASBRO, TAKARA, TOMY? Is it mostly importing? I'm kind of, for the people kind of wondering, kind of, you know, how is Brunei like for like Beyblade? I'm kind of curious for you to kind of talk on that.
Okay, so it started off kind of sparse. People would import things, you'd buy them from cube shops. People would just import boxes and sell them off by themselves. We had a gigantic Chinese fake scene. You would find all sorts of wacky stuff from China. It was hilarious. Eventually, Toys R Us brought in like late GT stuff and kept on going from there. We're really expecting them to start from the beginning with Beyblade X, but you can still find Beyblades in cube shops. Now that Burst is over, it's a bit harder to find, but there's lots of ways to get it in Brunei for sure.
That's really cool. Yeah, because I wasn't too sure, because I know TAKARA told me when they handle other places around the world, like North America, Europe, Asia, that type of stuff, kind of the distribution kind of gets a little bit iffy to what they can send. Because I know like in the MENA region in particular, like UAE, Saudi Arabia, that type of stuff, like they have Bay Battle. So I do hope you guys can get Beyblade X and enjoy it, because if they're going to go with global, they got to hit Brunei.
Yeah, for real. We were getting releases that were just mainline TAKARA TOMY. I've only ever found HASBRO here once. It ended up in a grocery store. I found some Hypersphere stuff. It was a good time. I mean, say what you will about HASBRO, but there's some fun to be had there, and I hope that someone out there can appreciate it like I do, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I gotta be careful what I say on HASBRO on this channel. I already know the snipers are on me any second.
Don't take the shot, guys. We need this guy.
Yeah, that's when they tell me I'm blacklisted and I'm afraid to now step foot in America for a Beyblade. I'm kidding. Well, actually, I don't know. With the Pinkerton whatever thing with that thing, actually, I don't know if it's a joke now, what I just said. Okay, Legally, I'm in Canada, so hopefully they don't come after me. But I kind of wanted
All
to
right,
ask
where were we
about
now?
the tournament scene, because I know you have a friend, I forget off the top of the name, but I know you guys go like pretty crazy kind of on some of the Beyblade stuff in battles, and I do remember you used to upload some like kind of like testing stuff for battles, so I'm kind of curious if you kind of have like a competitive scene there, or if it's just between friends, you know, kind of like what goes on there.
Okay, so we do have a tournament scene. It's not WBO or WBBA. It's mostly independent circuits where it started with Game Master, and I went to a tournament one time, and they're like, we kind of need someone to help judging. And I was like, you know, I know the game really well. I know all the parts. Let's do it. And then from there, that tournament host had me on as a judge all the time. And because employment is kind of difficult for me here because of immigration laws, it was really nice for me. Like I was making pretty consistent money for judging. And all the other tournament organizations would bring me on to judge for them. And it was a fun time up until the coup happened, and then everything shut down for a while. We still tried to do some stuff online, which I don't know if anybody remembers that, but we did try it, and like there was some online spin time trials, stuff like that. We did like something akin to a CBT. When it comes to tournaments in Brunei, it's really rare to have people go for like stamina battle kind of stuff. You know, like, do you really like watching that kind of thing? So even less the people playing it, they wanted attack only. So that's a big part of our scene is tournaments where it's attack only, or there's some kind of theme like, hey, rubber only, or the King of Judgment, where all you get to do is the judgment layer, and whatever parts you want to put on it is your choice, you know, that kind of thing. So there's a thriving tournament scene in Brunei, but I'm not going to lie, having two years off kind of killed it down a bit, but we're hoping to really make a comeback with Beyblade X. And I'm actually looking to host the tournaments myself this time around. So it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, so just to touch on that, when you were talking about Kobe, you said they gave it the nickname, I almost started laughing. But I think it's very nice to see that you're able to make use of your situation to do something that you enjoy, to be able to try to make a living with that. I think that's very admirable. And I think also, I'm not too sure, I wanted to actually ask this before I kind of talk about the meta that you have, but so how does it kind of work with Brunei? So you kind of have like main importers that get TAKARA TOMY stuff, or is it like, you know what I mean, like kind of like store official, or is it like a seller that gets it and imports it?
Yeah, the most official releases we got were Toys R Us in Brunei importing TAKARA TOMY bays from Singapore. Mm-hmm. So because Burst didn't really take off until around Chozy and like into GT, it took a while for them to pick it up, but they did eventually, and we got all the way up to BU, and beyond that, it is just people importing it and selling it in cube shops and stuff like that, or through pre-orders and all that.
That's still pretty cool to know, because you would think that maybe because it's Brunei, that, you know, how popular could Beyblade be there, but to actually hear that not only is there actually an active scene, but at least there are multiple ways, whether it's official or importing. So it's actually very interesting to hear that you managed to get all the way to the end. So that means that there clearly was a market there for them to get the products into Brunei and kind of continue that generation of Beyblade, even if it was part of Chozetsu.
Yeah, a lot of it is cultural too, because if you've ever heard of gasing, it's like a traditional spinning top where you wrap a string around it and chuck it. And they have like the time trials there. It's a big cultural thing. So people were ready to accept Beyblade,
That's very interesting. So that's very similar to the sense of Beigoma. So it's actually kind of interesting that you're talking about it. So it's kind of, even though it's different cultures, it's like kind of like the competitiveness of like a spinning top always like lives on. So that's actually really nice to hear.
Spinny top is eternal, man. What can I say? It crosses all sorts of boundaries.
I did want to kind of talk about this because you mentioned that, and I have the card here that way. So that way we can talk about it.
Beyblade X.
I wanted to talk about it because you guys are talking about we use attack a lot. Well, Beyblade X, guys. What a time to be an attack user. So I kind of want to first hear your thoughts on your first impressions on Beyblade X. Kind of just on the tops, what do you think of the system? And then after we'll touch on kind of maybe the gameplay aspects and kind of, what do you think about it?
All right. So first of all, I have to temper my expectations aesthetics-wise, because if we're comparing it to Burst, this is like single layer Valkyrie, that kind of style. So I expect it to get bigger and more elaborate later on. But even as just like the first 4 or 5 Beyblades, it's got a really good style going on. And I know people were super excited for Metal Contacts coming back. And they were hoping for like MFB2. Even I was predicting years ago, they're bringing back MFB,
Yeah. On the design stuff, I was going to say, the design stuff is definitely on the more simpler side, kind of what you were saying, because Burst is a lot more colorful visually. Unlike other generations, a lot of the decal, instead of it just being purely molded, is kind of on the stickers. So I definitely get when a lot of people kind of look at Burst or grew up from Burst and kind of look at X and like they get a whiplash, which I'm afraid if like someone who grew up from Burst looks like a Metal Fight Bay or like a Plastics Bay, because they're probably going to hate it.
I mean, coming from my standpoint where I've kind of just lived to see it all, there's something so special about the older generations of Beyblades, especially Plastic Gen. I have this theory that like whenever you're creating a Beyblade, there's always some callback to an earlier design. And you even see that in Beyblade X, where like you can compare some of the newer bays to stuff that came before it.
I definitely would agree with that. It also does get to like a point where there are certain, you basically do like most of the shapes, but what's interesting about that is kind of at least the take that they give with it. Because obviously with Beyblade, if they do this generation, let's say they do 2 more after, you're obviously going to get some sort of similarity because you can only do so many things and ideas. But I'm always interested in the take that they do with it. So you're kind of talking about MFB2. And I kind of feel it's like the spiritual successor to kind of like Metal Fight in Burst and that kind of vein. Because we got the Metal Contacts. Obviously, because if it was plastic, these things would like break in half in one battle. We got the return of Heights. And an interesting thing, but I don't want to talk too much on it. I want to kind of hear what is your kind of perspective on kind of now like the system itself, on like the ratchet and the bit.
Yeah,
the bottom.
The ratchet and bit. Those are interesting name choices, but I do appreciate that they kind of brought back the emphasis on that height dynamic. It wasn't so prevalent in Burst. Like they kind of tried it in BU with like the high and low mode and the high drivers and whatnot, but I don't think it really hit home that well in Burst. I mean, I could be wrong, but high mode was always like the bad choice in our tournament meta. So we're probably going to see a lot more of Beyblade X height choices mattering again. And right now we've got like what, 60 to 80?
Yeah, 60.
Are we going to go, if we're getting a return of 230? Is 230 coming back?
Well, yeah, because the bays are like, I'm afraid of 230, because the bays are already kind of like this. So they're going to be like, it's like a pencil at that point when you're holding it.
we're back to top plate at that point.
And I think I remember the jokes of that. Something I think you bring up a very good point, and this is probably the best thing that came out of Metal Fight, other than maybe if someone wants to talk about like metal contact points, was height. I feel like height was the best idea they ever had because it's so intricate on designs for stamina, for attack, low in height. There's so much potential there. Burst kind of did it. They were doing high drivers, but they were limited few. Technically, yeah, high mode, but like Burst, in my opinion, which is probably like the nuclear take, where people unsub after they listen to this, is that I think, even though I enjoy it, maybe more than Metal Fight, plastics, never gonna happen, but I think Burst, regardless of enjoyment, I think it's the worst design system out of all the gens, just in terms of longevity's sake. Like, I talked to a lot of friends who've been there since the start with Burst, and the issue with Burst is the teeth. If you go to someone who plays like Burst Classic, they're dead. How many copies of Valkyrie are these guys gonna have? If Beyblade is paid to win, the legacy formats are like for like the upper class people, because like to have 50 copies of Death Scythers and Valkyries is insane. And if you try to go like Metal Fight can go from 10 years from now because it's metal contact points. Metal bays only break on the face bolts, kind of the metal faces, but like, and the threads inside the spin tracks. But for the most part, they're pretty much like sturdy and very durable. And plastics, because they're low RPM, they're not going to, well, unless it's like Uriel, but that's a different story, but they're durable. The thing is with Burst is that as much as I enjoy Burst, like I realistically only see like end game Burst if someone's trying to pick up like the most realistic, like Barricade, your Guilties, whatever, because like even something like, and Burst is plagued with this, it's like the weights. The issue is that when you creep up, plastic contact points become your enemy. My favorite bay is probably Excalibur, because it's a sword. It stabs you. Zyphoid goes like this to like this after like some battles. And that hurts me, because it's like, damn. So I'm kind of curious.
I heard of some people, they're talking about, I bought 10 Excaliburs just so I don't run out.
It's very much, it's good for them because they made their money. They made their money, right, on the design. That's why Burst is like very successful in that regard to last like 7 years and go through all of COVID. But I'm so happy to the return to metal, because metal is very hard to screw up. They obviously, okay, right now we're at the start, so if they eventually do it, you know, listen, I said they potentially, but it's very hard to mess up like stuff like bursting. And I'll let you kind of add on to this just after I kind of explain how it works, just in case. So how this system works now, to the viewers that are wondering, is that burst Beyblades was always on the top part, the layer, the chip, the teeth, and you would lock it together. And that doesn't work because when the driver clicks on it, eventually it'll break down. But the smartest thing that Beyblade X the Beyblade X did was the bottom. That's where the burst resistance is. Technically, it's the ratchet because you have to put it in and then after there's some sort of twisting mechanism. I haven't seen too much of it. But these guys like finally realized after like 7 years how to design bursting properly. So kind of what do you think about it?
We saw a lot of the kind of the gimmicks that HASBRO was trying with the stadiums and whatnot, kind of like we're seeing the maturation. This is the end game now. We're finally seeing those things come to fruition. And if I'm not mistaken, with Beyblade X, you can't really burst without hitting the ratchet, right?
The burst, this is where it gets actually very interesting because I've seen a lot of clips from Noel, Leo Toy, Yuki Channel, like a lot of these creators that attended the event. What's very interesting is that if you compare burst to like this, to see the high recoil that happens because of the speed, because of the contact, it's very cool to see that they rarely actually do the burst win condition, and that's part of the system design. I think potentially what happens is maybe if you're hitting it, maybe it applies force on the bottom that maybe twists it, and maybe that unlocks on the ratchet part that makes the top slide out. But it's really surprising to me that and not to rag on burst, because listen, I mostly grew from burst, but it's like I'm very content on Beyblade X.
Yeah, true. There's a lot of, as you said, the durability issues. And even with 3D printing, we have those very same durability issues, like the teeth are always breaking. Sometimes the drivers will snap. It's tough, man. And it's good to see that they finally address those issues. So we'll see a Beyblade generation here that it's got more longevity. Like these early releases will probably carry you for a long time without wearing down in any meaningful way.
An interesting point to bring up is actually the weight, which I believe this was from Yuki Channel. I believe they're around like 40 grams, which that's a little surprising for kind of the start weight. That's a little bit more than I think the dual layer stuff. I think that's kind of like maybe like around the god layer type of stuff. But what I'm kind of hoping with, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts on it, do you think with kind of how they've designed it, do you think the game design could necessarily be that they go down the same route of a power creep? Or do you think because they're kind of at this point where, you know, the weight's kind of 40 and how the gameplay works, that it could be similar to plastics where if you get something at the start, let's say we're 4 years later, you could still probably pick up the same thing and do well?
I mean, it would be really nice if you could keep your wizard arrow going all the way to the end of the line. But if I'm looking at MFB, burst, all that stuff, it eventually starts to get bigger, heavier. You see, like with burst, you had the discs get heavier and heavier. They're adding weights like the GT weights and the DB armors. And I'm kind of wondering, like, at first I was wondering if they had a middle part, because when you saw the beginning teasers, you saw that kind of like 3-piece design like the older generations. So I was wondering if we'd have some sort of weight disc for this, but no, all the weight is at the top of the layer here, more or less. So it's interesting to see that we might not get any meaningful weight creep until they either make the ratchets way bigger or maybe like metal bits or something. It's only a matter of time before they bring back the metal sharp or something, you know?
Okay, I'm not good for the not good for the stadium. Not good for the stadium. But it was kind of interesting that you kind of talked on this, and I kind of was also thinking about this myself. I don't think the layers will ever change from now till the end. I think it's gonna because they're all one piece, and I feel they thought about it enough with how they designed it, because the center part is essentially kind of like a bit chip MFB-esque. But you're not really like, it's not really like it's a customizable thing. So already that would eliminate stuff like in the past, your metal god chips, your metal face, your metal bit chip. So I don't think necessarily, at least with the layers, they could creep with that. But you're talking about kind of like the ratchet part. Now, I think, and I know people are kind of judging, by the way, a little too early on some aspects of it, which is kind of the idea of gimmicks. Because usually at the start, we get pretty simple. It's usually very simple at the start, and then we progress. I think they can still do the gimmicks, but I don't think they can do kind of anything where it could be too much to like a creep of the meta. But like, what do you think like gimmick-wise they could potentially do to maybe like the ratchet or the tip?
Yeah, I think as far as the tips go, it's going to be hard to incorporate free spin or other things like that without removing the extreme finish aspect of it. There's a lot you can do with the ratchet, though. Like you could do the springs on the layer, something like a more aggressive, like a dual chassis kind of thing. I think they're kind of moving away from contacts on the ratchet here. So I don't think we'll see aggressive designs there, but there's definitely a lot of like smaller gimmicks that you can do there. Like I would expect to see something kind of like a Phoenix armor or something like that make a return for Beyblade X, you know?
Yeah, okay, so let's make this a little interesting. If between all the generations, or even it could be something maybe you just thought of, what are maybe like some gimmicks you would like to see them try to incorporate into Beyblade X that you think they could probably pull off?
You know, I've seen it happen a couple times, and people have kind of adapted this, but we could see a return of the Bullet. If you remember Bullet, of course you do.
Oh, this is my same idea.
Something pop out, and then you can get two Beyblades going on. At some point, they gotta do it to us.
That was my first idea, but I didn't want to talk over you, accidentally say it before you did it.
Great minds think alike, as they say, you know? Beyond that, I think that we're probably going to see at least a couple layers that have the springs and some sort of bound attack or used defensively, because if you've seen it before, you'd know that it's not very good for attack at all. Actually, but defensively, the springs and the layer is pretty good.
I wanted to kind of bring this up because I thought this was really funny, and it makes no sense why they're writing it, but do you know what the gimmick on Night Shield is? Which officially advertised, by the way. What do you think the gimmick is on Night Shield?
Please tell me it's not airflow, please.
So I thought, logically, they would just say airflow, because they did Aero Knight, Wind Knight, Garuda. No, that was too normal for them. I don't even know how this makes any sense, but they call it shock absorption. That's why they're the arrows that go inside on the night picture. You can't do shock absorption with metal like that. If you get a hammer on a wall, the wall's not gonna absorb it like Fafnir, and then after like take all that energy. I don't know what. I
mean, I remember like early Trident. I think it was God Trident that had the rubber inside. It was supposed to help with shock. I don't know how useful that was, but
yeah.
Do you know if they did that for Night Shield or no?
No, it's even dumber. It's just that it has the holes, and they call it the shock absorption. So technically, actually, to the people that were asking for gimmicks, there you go. That is officially advertised as a gimmick. I don't know how the hell that's gonna work on the show. Maybe they're gonna. Knight got hit and the arrow went inside. But
oh man,
I think your good one was when you suggested the idea of like Phantom Fox or like Bullet. If they don't do that, they're losing money.
It's a missed opportunity.
Such a good
for
suggestion that you just had, because imagining the gimmick of speed. You could have two potential gears, maybe one's kind of basic and the other one's kind of normal for the bit, and maybe just a simple release like it just locks like that. And you could have like double the speed. This is like the July release of 2024 on the calendars. You're gonna see it. They're gonna give me the paycheck. I'm gonna get the early review. They're gonna do like the orange and blue. They're gonna call it like, I don't know what's a random weapon, Fork Fox. I'm gonna get the money.
Yo.
Okay.
You heard it here, folks.
So, last part, I kind of want to touch up on kind of just the culture that kind of you kind of observe. Kind of, what is your PG thoughts? I added there just in case, but on the Bay community, kind of how you observed it from birth to kind of this point. Do you think we've kind of got into like a better state overall? Do you think not? I'm wondering kind of your perspective on it, because you're a lot older, you know, you're a lot wiser, so you can kind of see like a lot of these AMV kids who kind of like go on these rants and stuff. I already got the target on my back, so it doesn't matter if I say that as a joke, but you know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. I mean, have we matured? Yes and no. Baytuber content, has it evolved? Has it stagnated? I would have to say that like a lot of content out there kind of just feels like a commercial to me, and it's hard to break away from that when you're reviewing a product. I know, but like,
Right.
I like.
So you
So
kind
many
of say
people's
like,
videos feel like I'm being shilled to, and I'm like, I'm already
right.
buying the product, you know?
So you would
So
kind of
it's
say,
tough.
I was gonna say like,
Go ahead.
by the way, there's latency, so no one thinks I'm accidentally interrupting by accident. It's latency. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, so you would say kind of like the issues, maybe kind of like the authenticity, kind of when you're watching the videos, kind of like the content.
Yeah, to me, the Beyblade YouTubers that got the furthest to me are the ones that have the personality. And it's so much easier when you have more than one guy to bounce off of with the ideas, you know? Like,
Right.
you've got your dad, that adds a lot, you know? Give some respect to your dad there.
Of course.
And, you know, all the other guys who have, like, a buddy or whatever, or just have enough personality
Right.
that that carries it, because the energy means a lot. And, you know, you can do all the unboxings and boring stuff like you want, but it's going to be hard for you to grow without that personality, because we're in this kind of age of narcissism where everyone's trying to do this kind of thing, and the world doesn't really need another set of Beyblade unboxing channels. You know what I mean? So that's kind of something I wanted to ask you, is like, what would make a good Baytuber in this day and age? Because it's
Okay.
not that easy.
Sorry, because when you're talking about the narcissist, I thought of some other guy, but I don't want to say that name.
Oh, trust me, I know all the lore, baby.
Right.
I know,
But
I know.
what I
I
think I
know.
really enjoy is that I can tell the difference between kind of, and I mean this in like a nice way, but like there are some that kind of feel too much like it's like an AI. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's not authentic when I'm watching it, and I'll kind of go into the types of that. I kind of enjoy the people where it's just like a vibe, like, you know, normal people enjoying the hobby. So you have people like, you know, Nizuma, you have people like Noel, you know, Saipi, just like people who enjoy the hobby. You can tell by how they view the hobby, how do they act with it when you see them, you know, in events, you know, when you actually see them IRL. And I feel like that's like the, and, you know, there's other good people like Swift too. Shout out Swift, by the way. And like a lot of good people and personality, and you can feel that in the content. I don't like too much kind of like the, I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like when you can tell they're putting on like a character. I don't like it. It turns me off a lot. Like if I watch someone like J-Pot, like she's just chilling out and vibing, you know, doing tournament stuff, testings, whatever. Like, hey everyone, I'm doing this, and I'm like, okay. But like if I have to watch another video, what's up guys? And Hasbro just sent me a package, and this is going to break Beyblade. And I don't mean like in the sense like if they're just doing a joke at the start. I mean like the entire like video.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. If they had,
like you can tell how they're like talking.
yeah, the like YouTuber, and like the modern day YouTuber is just like this. I don't know. It's like robotic almost, where it's all like they're reading off of. It's like an ad read. Just the whole video is just one extended ad read about Raid Shadow Legends. Please subscribe.
Yeah, they tried to I hate that type of stuff. I mean, obviously get your bread, whatever. But if I'm doing a Beyblade video, I'm not gonna talk about like, alrighty guys, for this video, I'm gonna be reviewing Drawn Sword. But before we get into that, how's your wallets handling? You see, with Beyblades, I need to afford this, so use this to, like, it does, I don't know, like, obviously, if that's what pays the bills, that's what pays the bills. I'm not really, that's like a very minor thing. I actually care about that the least. That's my least criticism. I'm more just like, I don't like the artificialness or the character. I prefer if you, like, if you watch someone who's live talking, and they're kind of more or less the same on the video, like, that's what I kind of mean. Like, if it's in a video, I kind of get that disconnect. Like, for the most part, in my videos, for an example, I'm kind of, like, sarcastic, but, like, for a HASBRO video, I'm kind of just, like, trying to get through it to the end. But kind of what you're touching on when you kind of mentioned, like, the whole ad part, and I'm guilty of this, too, but to a certain extent, because I think even when they were sponsoring us, I probably did like the worst thing you can probably do if you're getting sponsored, which was actually share your thoughts on it. So I kind of prefer, if you're going to do the sponsor stuff, and I mean this especially because with Burst, this is such a plague, because obviously if people are signed, their opinion is always going to be, okay, guys, well, this kind of lost every single time, but, okay, what do I have to say? Okay, but for collectors, this is really, really good. Or like it's not even like, and I hate this so much because it's like, on the Hasbro side especially, I do wish everyone, and we kind of just woke up a lot sooner, but I feel like that it's been a big wake-up call over these past few years. I do consider myself probably, and I obviously respect Beyblade, but I think Hasbro probably thinks of me as like their biggest enemy, because from like exposing like the Bay Team stuff, because the issue is that a lot of people that consume content, they don't realize that sometimes it is an ad, or even if they don't directly say it's an ad, they maybe sign something where they do videos in a favorable opinion. And that doesn't mean every single person, whatever, but that's like the content. I've been vocal on this, so obviously I'm not hiding anything, but that's what I kind of like the least. But if it's like a normal video, whatever, that's fine. So to kind of segue back from the long rants that I did, I think the authenticity is just enjoying it. And I also think what uniqueness they bring to it. Like, for an example, you cover 3D print stuff, you do personal stuff, whatever. That's like your unique thing that you do. Crazy Aries does that, for an example, like 3D prints. Like, you have to find your niche, because even though Beyblade is like a hobby where you can do finite amount of things, there are ways you can make it unique for yourself. Like for me personally, if I just did battles and reviews, like, okay, what makes me different from someone else? That's why I pride myself trying to do informative videos, history videos, combo stuff. And, you know, like, you have to kind of think, what makes me different from someone else? Because listen, there are 50 AMB channels. You're not special if you do that, right? What makes you special? The editing style? I don't know, I'm ragging on AMV so much. But it's just an easy target.
Man. You know what? Deserved.
But
Deserved.
That's like what it is. And, you know, you have like a lot of talented people like, you know, BBG, even though the Hasbro stuff, regardless of whatever they do, you know, they do some stuff here and there, like cool mods and stuff. And they're at the top for a reason, because they earned it. They made a unique brand for themselves, an identity. Even if now they do kind of a little bit more of like the ad focus stuff, that's fine. But at least, you know, they have a reason to be at the top. And that's kind of my point. You have to have a reason to be where you are, right? Whether or not, you know, you made it there, or for whatever reason, you did alternative methods to build up your channel, like finding, you know, these like robots or whatever, right, to help you out, you know.
Hey man, read the disclaimer, 13 and up, you know?
But yeah, so I kind of want to ask kind of, what are some kind of things that you, because you're obviously like a parent, what are some kind of things that for content creators that you enjoy to see that cover Beyblade? Because I went on, but I'm curious on you, because you're like a viewer kind of has consumed a lot of this content, so you have kind of more of a perspective on like the opposite side, because I'm more of a creator, so I'll probably like inherently biased towards certain viewpoints.
As someone who started off as like just getting into this kind of Beyblade YouTube scene and just watching people all the time, I kind of built a repertoire with some of these guys by just being in the comments and being positive and enjoying the content, which it kind of got harder as it went on, because it's like more of the same, and you kind of see people losing energy or something or whatever. And it's tough for Beyblade channels where you don't want to be seen, like there's no face camera or they don't talk, because there are some successful channels like that for sure. Like way back in the day, you had like those MFB channels that had like really nice editing, and like the battles were just really slick. Yeah, like stuff like that. It's entertaining to watch, and you'll definitely get a following doing that. But like, it's a lot of effort, and it's kind of like this like effort versus reward, because it takes a lot of time to edit those videos. I know, and even just editing a normal video, that takes hours. And it got to the point for me where like, I couldn't keep up with it. If you wanted to put something out every single day, and like if you wanted to do the meme content where you're blasting edits all the time, it takes a lot of time. And I'm a father. I've got 4 kids. I don't really have the time for this anymore, and the money's not really there either. So, and like when I was trying to do the YouTube content and really push it, I found out really quick that you can't do that in Brunei because of the way Google monetizes things. So it just like, I got to that point and I was like, oh, was this all of this for nothing? But, you know, I understand that when people are doing this, it's about like putting it in, getting famous and getting the rewards for gaining that kind of following. And it's not to say that like, oh, don't do ads or whatever. Like, yeah, I get it if you got to do that thing for sure. But, for me, the most entertaining content is a good personality. And that you could be doing nothing and still have a good personality and still make people show up to your live streams and whatever. So you see that on Twitch too, where like the best streamers have like their camera in a corner. There's no fancy overlays, but they've got hundreds of thousands of viewers just because they're that kind of personality. And I think what Beyblade YouTube needs at this point in time is those kind of personalities. And I'm not saying I'm that kind of personality because I'm not for everybody, for sure.
Right.
But, you know, we do need that kind of thing here. So I do gravitate to watching those kinds of people. So if all you're doing is a boring ad read, step it up, guys. I gotta say.
Amen. And I think something else that's a little bit interesting that you're kind of touching on this is kind of like the idea of like building and kind of rooting yourself up. I think something, and we're kind of talking about this on the maturing side, and obviously I'm not going to try to dump the entire lore for the viewer on Baytuber drama, right? We don't need the Elden Ring kind of lore book on like how it happened from start to finish, right? It'd be a long video, right?
For sure.
But what I would really love to see, especially with Beyblade X, is like enough of kind of like tearing each other apart. Because like, what's the point? If I cover something, okay, you cover something. You know, I feel like part of the culture which has kind of died down, I'm very happy with this, is kind of like that tearing down. Because obviously it creates a thing where if someone tears down you, obviously like, hey, you know, what's going on here? Like, I thought we were just trying to be friendly. And then after everybody has like eye for an eye for each other, there's like storylines, there's like filler arcs and everything, right? It's like and it gets tiring because the more you grow up, it's like, okay, so-and-so versus this person. I literally don't care. I don't care. It's pointless. If you're doing it in a sense where it's like, to fairly criticize, okay, that's fine. Yeah. But like, I feel like we've kind of, not now, because now is a lot better, but we kind of like, you know, 2018, like for the Chozetsu, it was kind of nuts, but I would love to see kind of just like more Baytuber collabs, you know, like BBG, you know, Illinuk, you know, a lot of these, you know, top creators that, you know, just like working together and even like building with like smaller bladers. I feel like we all benefit from that. And this is my opinion, okay? We all benefit from this. A lot of people that think, oh, I hate this person because this, that, and this, they don't realize that if they put their ego to the side, which you said, the thing about narcissism, it's only to help each other out for the viewership and to build each other. Like, everybody has their different audiences, and it's only to help each other out. So that's why I'm kind of like, what's the point? What's the point of this? Now, if someone did, like, legitimate things, you know, like got, like, the dragons involved.
You know, hey, the dragons can be free. It's fine. I mean... They're bleeding. Not the bleeding dragons!
Oh, God.
Oh, no. I was hoping this wouldn't come to this. We're breaking down. It's only a matter of time before I start posting on Rumble or something, you know?
Oh God.
No, not that. Okay, so...
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. No, but shout outs to them. Shout outs Oh no, are you
Yeah,
frozen?
I mean,
Oh no, I thought you froze for a
if you can find it
second.
on another platform, we're fine. No, yeah,
Okay.
like do what you
You
gotta
jump
do, man.
scared me.
Sure.
You froze for a second. You were laughing, and I thought you were like this, and I thought, oh God, we lost you. No, but I don't. I mean, listen, I'm putting this publicly now. Listen, this is an open invite. Okay, listen. If we had anything before, we can discuss it as adults. I just want to collab, whatever, and just have stuff chill. That's all I want. That's like, because I feel like for Beyblade X, especially because it's going global, right? Like, it's gonna probably get big. To what extent? Who knows? But like, I feel like if everyone's kind of, you know, working together, I feel like we can kind of get to that. Like, all banter aside, all jokes aside, listen, like, I have to probably not put a disclaimer, because I already know how, like, they get, where it's like, oh my God, he said he doesn't like the ad, whatever. Listen, like, it's all right.
At the end of the day, we're all doing Beyblade here. We're all doing Beyblade.
Exactly.
And we are in this together. So, I mean, listen, I know some people don't get along, and a lot of people aren't going to get along with me, or they have, you know, people don't always get along. And you can't get along with everybody. Not everybody's going to like you. Everybody has their preferences, you know? We'll find a way, you know? We'll get the Baytuber brawl. We'll get the cruise. We'll send the Beyblade cruise around Brunei. Pick me up. I'm coming to the tournament. Let's go.
The Baytuber, your shout out to, I forgot who the host was. Yo, shout outs to them. Shout outs to them. That was probably the scariest thing I ever attended. If we ever do that again,
I came so close. I was almost there.
I did.
If they had brought the cruise around, I could have been there.
I don't know if you want to give me the story about the Baytuber thing, because after that we'll finish up on like the Beyblade X Wishlist. But do you want me to? So it was probably the most ambitious events, to say the least. It definitely was like this weird point where people didn't know if they hated each other or not, but I feel like everyone kind of mellowed out kind of in Shozatsu before it went back to hell. But no, it was a very large-scale event that I don't think we prepared for, but it was a very good idea at the heart of it. Like, even if it wasn't 100%, like a very good idea at the heart. So, and even now, like, Beyblade X is doing like a Masters thing, and it'd be cool as hell to see them get like influencers from Japan, and maybe like if influencer can come from like US, Canada, Europe, you know, other places, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, for real.
Malaysia.
Also Malaysia.
Malaysia, come on, Singapore, let's go.
Singapore. Can I just like the last stuff, because you already mentioned the gimmick stuff. What are some things, just to end off, because Beyblade X has to go in the title. That's how the algorithm works now, so.
Yeah, for
real. What would you like to see included and not included? Like, if there's something where we like bring that in, or if there's something like you don't want, you say, get that out of there.
Well, if I never see another Dynamite Belial combo in my life, I'd be very glad.
So if
they could keep bearing out of the equation, that'd be fantastic. And please don't just throw bearing, drift, all the other things with the metal chips. All, you know, they had to do it to us at the end.
I wanted to also say, Beyblade X is also very interesting because Burst almost did this. The bits on the bottom have specific resistance, so defense and stamina bits will have lower resistance than like balance and attack. So that's gonna like prevent a lot. Well, hopefully they don't raise it up, but that's like a very smart idea because those designs are naturally gonna be less recoily. So obviously you wouldn't want to have it too strong of resistance, because a big issue could be if you have like a bit of like defense and has like 80 resistance or something. Then if you do an attack meta, it's going to be very tough because, like, okay, even though I got these, like, two different ways, you know, what are we doing? Even if there's heights, like, so I kind of just wanted to add on to that.
I mean, you saw it in Burst where all the stamina bays have, like, terrible teeth to try and have, but they said, oh, well, people are just going to put a dash driver on that kind of thing. And so it's a really smart idea they did where if they're going to have the stamina piece on, make that the part that's tied to the burst resistance. And that was Master stroke. Mwah, chef's kiss on that one, TT. Let's go.
Is there anything kind of else you're kind of look? I don't want to like keep like poking at you just to say something for Beyblade X, but if there's anything else you want.
Hey man, I'm excited to see how far we get with these designs, because the first couple of designs, the aesthetic is nice. If we could get all the way to something like this, where it's like super artistic work of art kind of bay, that would be fantastic. Like, shout out to Spooky who made this one. The aesthetics on this are fantastic for real. And if we can get, I know it's impossible for Beyblade X, but just having the evolution of the designs on the metal wheel, that would be huge. I know that right now it's kind of like things are small and contained, but I can see a lot of potential for the evolutions of the designs to have more and more detail. You'll see it. They'll get a little bigger, maybe more plastic. They'll add metal, plastic, rubber to the layers. There's a lot of potential there for real. Beyblade X is looking to be very exciting. I'm gonna have to buy a lot of stadiums because I know I'm worried about the wear on that gear ridge on the outside, and the. Don't make the part.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he thinks potentially they could just do a release where it's like rails just by itself.
Just rails, yeah, for sure.
Well, if they're smart.
Yeah. Give me some replacement rails. I'll need them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear that stuff right out.
I was gonna ask, actually, stand off now. Between the four of them for like the emblem, all right, okay, we'll go by the emblem. Like I don't know what you call the middle, like like the design of the middle.
Yeah, like the bit shit thing, right?
Or like the creature thing. Which one? Okay, if you were to rank like most like to least like, what would it be? And then after, if you want to do like the full designs, whatever you can do if you want to.
Okay, sure. I mean, going off of what we have right now, it's tough. I want to meme the stamina bay. Wizard Arrow. You shh. All you other guys, you need to shh, because we're Wizard Arrow now. I was trying to find clips to edit a meme together on that. It's really hard because Wizard Arrow is getting blasted out there. But I love the design. It reminds me of Beat Links. I know I've gone on and on about that, and other people have covered that too. You see the similarities, Wizard Arrow, I like it a lot. I'd have to say Hell Scythe is like somewhere. It's definitely high tier for sure. Night Shield, man. No, why does it seem like nobody likes Night Shield? And then I'm sorry, Dragon Blader bottom. That's F tier. The lowest. You Dragon Blading? No. I've always had a thing.
The blade.
At least it's. Well, I mean, Dragon Blading as a concept. Yeah, you got me. For real. That's the gotcha moment right there. No, but Cobalt Drake looks fantastic.
Oh, Drake.
The throwback to Dragoon. The Drake? That's fantastic. I know. I meme on the Fafnir users. Hey, we don't have left spin yet. And the meta's ruined the second they put in a left spin rubber equalizer. I'm holding out as long as possible until they do that stuff.
I think why I don't like Knight is probably just the color of the green. I'm not too much of it. Well, actually, I do like the Wizard green. The Knight one, not too much, because like the Wizard one, I like the eye colors, that stuff. But I think some is just kind of just will probably grow. But my number one, that's not like the rare Bay, which is gonna be hard to get, is definitely Wizard. Just for the concept that if you beat somebody, you can just do this right after. And I feel that's very toxic, and I'm there for it. It's a joke,
don't
guys,
say anything.
If you're listening,
don't say anything to me, guys.
But you do have a YouTube channel that's going to be staying
I do.
on YouTube,
it's like
not Rumble.
Oh, yes. No. It's what, like the 4th, 5th, 6th time I've done this.
You gotta stay, man.
Yeah, listen. I lead a difficult life, to say the least, and without going too much into it, I can't really afford this. So I'm saving up all my juice money to order from Mall of Bays, from the Beyblade World by Zankye, And I'm gonna get some of that Beyblade X before Toys R Us brings it in, whatever. I need it. I need it in my life. Beyblade X #1, Zankye #1. You know I had to do it to him.
We'll send you the 4. We'll send you the 4. We'll send you the 4. Okay, listen, he did the free plug. I can't plug my store in these podcasts because that'd be weird. He did the. I didn't pay him.
No, I did it for him. He wasn't prompted. I know. You know that I know. They're
gonna call you the Zankye op now, not the.
Hey man, I already got. Listen, you can't stop me. I got the threats once. You can't stop me at this point.
But listen. Even if you can't upload as much, you do have a very nice personality, you know. 13 and up definitely for your content, but, you know.
That's how you even know I exist, you know?
I feel like you could definitely grow, man. And even if it's not whatever, like a lot of people are, you know, you do events and stuff, you're going to plan to do that for X. That's going to be something very interesting too, because we don't know, even if Beyblade X does do global, are there going to be events here in North America? Is that going to be to like a similar kind of formatting that we see in the Asia region and kind of Malaysia and kind of, you know, or, you know, Europe, you know, all these other places, you know, like, so you have, listen, X is the time for everyone to kind of, you know, reshape themselves, you know, look in the mirror, you know, say it's time to make content. And we're going to leave a link in the description. You have only the 3D print stuff.
Check out this frowny face guy. And I know I'm not for everybody, but if you like the vibes, please subscribe. Not the hey, those are unlisted for a reason, Zankye.
All right. Listen, there's this
yeah, I lost track. What were we gonna say?
This podcast was the worst one for me. I smiled too hard. My cheekbone has gone like so. Like when you smile too much, I hit the high too much. Like
I do have that effect on people for sure.
Yeah, listen. So there you go. If you want to be happy with Beyblade content, SirSkudii86. I forgot the slogan that you have. Make them cry 68 times and make them smile even more.
Hey, man. You put them in the pocket. They're done, son. They're garbage. But don't be too toxic out there, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, treat your other bladers with respect. How's she ripping? Hope your lingerie ain't skipping.
We'll make sure to
Thanks for having me on the podcast here, Zankye. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day and bye.